here. Next question, Sarah Tomevska.
Thank you for your speech, Minister. Sarah Tomevska from SBS. You've spoken about barriers to participation. You'd be aware that culturally and linguistically diverse people participate at half the rate projected by the NDIA, while the First Peoples Disability Network estimates there are 60,000 Indigenous people missing from the scheme. I spoke to a man a year ago, a Myanmar refugee. He suffered a stroke while fleeing ethnic persecution. He was 34 years old. When he got to Australia, he spent his first 2 years housebound. He didn't even know that help existed. He then spent another year housebound because once he discovered the NDIS, he had no idea how to navigate the system, and there are thousands of people like that man.
Yep.
What are you doing to help people actually access the scheme?
That's a great point, Sarah, and people can, if you still remember the answer I gave a couple of questions back when we were talking about diagnosis, I did say there are some people who are not getting into the scheme who should be in the scheme, if you remember that answer. I had called and First Nations people in mind when I was giving that. The agency's launched its First Nations strategy. We're working with a lot of organisations, First Nations people, so it's with them. It is true what you say, that if you just take an examination of First Nations people or people who come from a non-English speaking background, their average package and their average use of the package is lower than the Australian community at large. So I'm not sugarcoating, there is an issue there. The great irony, of course, is that some people complain that we're spending too much and others say that we're not getting to the right people, and sometimes both of those things can be right. We've called communities. I've been meeting with the peak bodies, FECA and the other representatives. I'm looking to the review to look at how we make sure that access to NDIS is equally shared. I think there's a few things we can do, though. Again, it starts with the capability of the agency. I'd like to see more people with First Nations and call background in the agency. I also think it simplifies, if any of you have ever had to have a family member or on the NDIA, it can be very bureaucratic, so I'm looking at how we just simplify our front door of the scheme. I'm interested in us doing more outreach as well. It's not everyone's a digital native online. Not everyone thinks to go to a government office. So how do we do more outreach and meet with, say, for example, associations who represent Australians of a non-English speaking background? So I think outreach is part of the solution too. It's a work in progress.